I grew up in Bryan College Station, Texas, the child of a nuclear physicist and a psychotherapist. I wanted to be an architect and spent a lot of time drawing houses and making models. And my mother exposed me to all kinds of fiber arts and handwork, from sewing to embroidery, cross-stitching to latch hook rugs. Light filtering through a traditional paper-covered folding screen on a trip to Japan in 1988 set the course for my explorations with handmade paper. I observed how this simple architectural form majestically altered the space and decided then and there that I was going to learn to make paper by hand. I was living in New York City at the time and ended up finding Dieudonné Paper Mill in 1991, where I worked for 6 years and began exploring various ways to illuminate paper. Around that same time, I took a class at the Penland School in North Carolina and discovered how to embed string and wire between sheets of freshly made paper. I became enamored with translucent high-shrinkage abaca fiber and began experimenting with various ways to embed wire. The tension between the wire and the paper led to striking results when I let the sheets air dry. I was creating a new material, bendable paper. By conducting experiments during the papermaking process, such as cutting a slit in a sheet after it is formed, or nailing a wet sheet to the wall, I allow the paper to come alive. External forces such as time, gravity, and molecular structure cause the sheets to bend, tear, and wrinkle as they dry, producing organic forms that are often unpredictable. I met my husband in New York City and we relocated to Portland, Oregon in 1998 and started a family. I continued to work in collaboration with my medium, handmade paper. This installation was made by draping wet sheets of paper over a clothesline. As the sheets dried, they contracted and twisted into these forms. And then I stitched metal washers onto one side of each form, creating thread patterns on the other side. The images resemble constellations, plant forms, fireworks, the Big Bang, metaphors for conception, growth, birth, and life. I see these things as magical and mysterious, and this ties into my fascination with paper pulp and the invisible occurrences that take place throughout the papermaking process. In 2008, I constructed this 8-foot-tall, 24-foot-long screen, which diagonally divided the gallery space at Reed College in Portland. Thread was my construction material. I composed a hexagonal web-like pattern with paper discs entangled in it, visually representing hydrogen bonds, one of the primary mechanisms that causes papermaking fibers to adhere to each other in the dry state, and metaphorically symbolizing the myriad connections in our lives. I often think about our intimate connections to our mothers in the womb and our casual waves to strangers, our interpersonal connections to the threads that bind us to all of humanity, and the threads that stretch between where we began and where we will go. My work frequently involves community. Mother Tree was inspired by a comment I overheard a father telling his children shortly after the birth of my first child. I was breastfeeding my newborn in a public space, and as they walked by me, the father said, "That is one of the most beautiful things in the world." The large paper dress turns into a tree as pure white crocheted threads representing mother's milk cascade from the chest and turn into multicolored roots as they hit the floor. Over 400 people from around the world crocheted roots and sent them to me by mail or created them on site with me during crochet sessions. These roots were made from fibers as varied as their makers: Oregon seagrass, hemp, linen, and hair, to name a few, and were often delivered with personal stories about motherhood. Mother Tree has been displayed with the roots twisted into words about mothering, piled up around her feet, and surrounding her like a labyrinth. Creating this installation made me realize that my art connects people. We notice our similarities when we share our stories. My family relocated to the Rocky Mountains in 2012, where we live in a small ski resort community near Vail, Colorado. I found a studio in the old schoolhouse in an old mining town called Red Cliff. In 2014, I created The Wish, a permanent installation at Anythink Huron Street Library in Thornton, Colorado. This 7-foot diameter dandelion sculpture is made of 300 handcrafted paper seeds, representing the wishes of individuals from the library community and around the globe. The installation includes a motion-activated audio component featuring recordings of wishes from community members. As patrons walk into the library and look up at the wish, they can listen to the wishes of people from the community playing in a loop on the motion-activated soundtrack. With each wish, I received a little something from the giver, a glimpse at how they view the world. The individual dandelion seeds in the wish symbolize private wishes, yet the piece as a whole serves as a metaphor for human connectedness. We all begin as a seed, we are all connected, and each of us travels far and wide throughout our lives, like a dandelion seed carried on the wind. I am still in Colorado, where I run my papermaking studio and continue to create work, including artist books, which allow me to combine my interest in innovative papermaking techniques and paper engineering. I enjoy integrating graphic and structural design with content that comes from the threads in my life, such as motherhood or my father's experience with Alzheimer's. I am the author of several how-to books about papermaking and paper crafts, and I write a weekly blog called The Sunday Paper. I interview papermakers and paper artists on my podcast, Paper Talk. And I run an online membership program called The Paper Year and hold an annual paper retreat and papermaking master classes in my Colorado studio.